Buenas noches para todos. Hamzu, Tatao Saipan, Luta Zantinian, Guahu, si Carlotta de Leon Guerrero.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for the Wednesday edition of MCV News. Vicky Tadella and Long Shot Willie will be with us in a few minutes.
Let's turn now to the top of our cast this evening. Much attention these days is being focused on land, the sale of it, the lease of it, and the protection of it. Article 12 of the CNMI Constitution was to keep control of NMI land as much as possible in the hands of the indigenous population. That constitutional provision is now the subject of numerous lawsuits between the original landowners and the investors who believed they had the right to proceed with their projects. Attorney Ted Mitchell has been on the front line of the battle over how to interpret Article 12. He has the support of the landowners he represents, and for a few short weeks, the support of the CNMI House of Representatives as well. But that legislative support has now been withdrawn as questions over what Mitchell stands to gain from this battle have emerged. Here's that story. 18 days ago, the House of Representatives passed a resolution to extend appreciation to Attorney Theodore R. Mitchell for his valiant efforts to protect the integrity of Article 12 of the Commonwealth Constitution. Yesterday, they voted to rescind that resolution. Representative Jesus Mofnes, whose signature was on the original resolution when it was introduced on February 19th, was instrumental in having Mitchell's resolution withdrawn. He told his colleagues that he didn't read the resolution before signing it, but he since has and feels it was inappropriate for the legislature to take a stand on this issue. By doing so, credence is given to Mitchell's contingency fee agreement.
The legislature has no business commending or criticizing either a successful or unsuccessful attorney in any judicial proceedings. And more importantly, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, the legislature must not conduce any attorney from charging clients outrageously legal fees as stipulated in the contingent fee agreement on Civil Action 86-796.
The contingency fee agreement Mofnes referred to was charged by Mitchell in the Diana C. Ferreira versus Rosalia Mofnes case. Mitchell's opposition in these type of cases say his contingency fee agreement is standard. Mofnes read aloud from the document, citing the terms of payment for Mitchell's services. His share of the recovery increases the further along he takes the case through the legal system. 25% if the recovery is obtained prior to the actual commencement of the trial or prior to disposition by summary judgment. 33 1/3% if the recovery is obtained after the commencement of trial or by means of summary judgment. 40% if the recovery is obtained after the filing of an appeal by either party to the Appellate Division of the District Court for the Northern Marianas. 45% if the recovery is obtained after the filing of an appeal by either party to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. 50% if the recovery is obtained after the filing of either party of a petition for a writ of certiorari with the United States Supreme Court. The original resolution commending Mitchell for his efforts on behalf of Article 12 landowners was drafted by Representative Herman Palacios. A major decision issued today in the Article 12 battle. Superior Court Judge Miguel Demapon ruled that the Marianas Public Land Corporation must step in and enforce Article 12 in the disputed land cases of Duty Free Shoppers and the Pacific Islands Club versus the original landowners. The ruling was the result of a case brought forth by attorney Michael Dotz on behalf of the Commonwealth taxpayers. He sued the current administration for its failure to assert the public's right in the Article 12 land cases. Dotz argues that if the Article 12 provision has been violated by the PIC and Duty Free, then the land should not go back to the original landowners. Dotz says the land should belong to the public for the benefit of everyone and not just a few. He's pleased with the ruling, which makes MPLC do their job as dictated by the Constitution.
Now, MPLC has come forward and said, yes, we've got an interest in the land and we want to pursue it. And MPLC has entered into a stipulation saying they're going to go after the land on behalf of all the people of the public.
Attorney Ted Mitchell, who's argued before the courts that the land should go back to its original landowners, said that he's glad now that the government is moving forward in trying to resolve all underlying Article 12 cases.
The reaction is unmitigated happiness.
MPLC attorney Tom Sweeney says they have to make an in-depth investigation of all Article 12 cases to assert the public right.
Good ruling, and now we can go forward and look into what's going on in the underlying suits.
Dutz says MPLC might end up resolving all the other article land cases. While the Committee on Public Utilities is gathering public input on a bill to redefine the powers and functions of the Marianas Public Land Corporation, committee members also use the hearings to educate the public on what they think should be done with the MPLC. In the vernacular, the chairman of the committee, Representative Heinz Hofschneider, recommends transferring MPLC to the executive branch. Such a move, he says, will allow for an open-door approach to public land transactions towards the goal of protecting the public interest from the undue influence of politicians.
Mas liku makakaipita para industriya na aktibidad iti mangkumbini. Pos para taniga posibilidad ni sinya na society. Ijigi na maktumini na sundu is the House Bill 8207.
The next public hearing on Hofschneider's House Bill 8207 is scheduled for tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in the San Vicente School Auditorium.
In court news, a judge will soon hear the merits of the contempt of legislative subpoena charges lodged against CUC Executive Director Ray Guerrero. After arguing who would represent him in court this morning, attorney David Lujan from Guam was allowed to defend the executive director. The court ruled that Guerrero had the right to choose his own legal counsel. Outside the courtroom, Lujan told MCV News he's not surprised with the court's ruling.
I expected that he would grant it. So, I mean, I was confident going in that he'll grant it. And, the judge knows the law. It, was ruled according to the law. Mr. O'Shea didn't present anything. It was a waste of time in there.
Lujan's admittance in the CNMI courts could mean that any licensed attorney from abroad could practice here without having to take the Saipan Bar Association examination. This was the argument made by Special Government Prosecutor Dennis O'Shea, but Lujan stressed he's only admitted in this particular case.
The application is an application pro hac vice, and that in Latin. That's Latin, and it simply means for this litigation or for this case. Yeah. So I'm not trying to circumvent the rules, the laws here that govern admissions to practice here. All right, because those laws deal with a person and a lawyer who wants to come here, settle down and open an office and practice here. Okay, I'm admitted in Guam. I'm not admitted here. All right, and my practice, my law office, everything is in Guam.
Lujan says he has been allowed to represent clients here on 9 occasions during the past 10 years. Some note this would be unfair to lawyers who have passed the NMI's bar examination. First, there was a missing man, then there was missing money. Now there's a missing man being accused of taking the missing money. This morning, former acting postmaster James Miller was charged with embezzling about $95,000, but Miller is nowhere to be found. The last known information on his whereabouts indicates he bought a ticket for Jakarta, Indonesia in late January. Locksmith spent 4 days drilling the postal safe to find that the money was missing. U.S. Postal Inspector Devin Hall says funds are usually deposited on a daily basis, but no deposits were made for a number of weeks. That's why nearly $100,000 accumulated in the vault. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and Criminal Investigation Division of the Police Department are working together to find and prosecute Miller.
Coming up next, the flow of traffic will soon be regulated. Lights are going up at major intersections.
And the Chamber of Commerce holds a session to plan for spurring of the economy. The Commonwealth's largest project will move ahead. The legal battle between the Commonwealth Ports Authority and a disgruntled bidder was dismissed by the Superior Court. Today, the court ruled that the construction for the CNMI's $36 million harbor expansion has to move on. Judge Alex Castro noted that Vicente Rivera, who heads the General Contractors Incorporated, failed to conform with one of the CPA's bid requirements. Rivera's group failed to present a financial audit statement. CPA's attorney Steve Nutting says the statement would have shown if Rivera's group has the financial resources to complete the port expansion project.
Completely failed to do that and just basically filed a self-serving affidavit saying they had the money, but we had no independent proof of it.
Rivera's group was just one of 8 bidders for the harbor project. Counsel Ben Yana argued that the CPA Board of Directors failed to completely evaluate Rivera's bid. Rivera says an appeal may be forthcoming.
A significant number of CNMI scholars head off island for higher education and training, but enticing them back here is a big problem. Their newly gained knowledge is badly needed in the development of the Commonwealth, but wages aren't competitive enough for many natives to return to the NMI. Representative Jesus Mafnes says the statistics are awful.
I requested information, Mr. Speaker, from the college to find out how many of our previous scholars have yet to come back. And approximately 50-some scholars that graduated and have yet to return.
Members of the House were back in session today and heatedly debated the bill, which would offer scholars an attractive relocation package, which includes housing and transportation benefits. But Health, Welfare and Education Chair Ana Tergezo says although we must address this problem, the CNMI can't afford it.
The bill is commendable, but my committee believes the present economic situation facing the Commonwealth mandates conservative spending policies.
This relocation bill was eventually referred back to committee. Topping this afternoon's session was the 4-year limitation on non-resident workers. The bill, introduced by Representative Pedro R. de Leon Guerrero, calls for lifting that 4-year limit. Many congressmen favor this resolution because it would cut recruiting and training costs for businesses. On the other hand, local residents expressed a feeling that alien workers should only be here temporarily so that locals can eventually fill those jobs. In other business, the House quickly passed 3 other bills on the agenda. One would set up a youth congress. Another would allow customs to donate confiscated foods like fanihi and turtles to the elderly. And lastly, a bill which would prohibit the use of government cars outside normal working hours. That bill was amended today to exempt personnel who are on call.
We go from Capitol Hill to another hill. It's becoming an all too familiar sight at the bottom of Navy Hill. This afternoon, an accident left 2 individuals with cuts and bruises. Both were treated at the Commonwealth Health Center and released. A bystander at the scene says the van was making a left turn off Middle Road towards Navy Hill. The white sedan didn't yield and slammed into the van, which then flipped to its side. This is the second serious accident at the intersection in less than a week.
The island's first traffic lights will be up soon, and public safety officials hope that the number of accidents will decrease because of that. Going hand in hand with traffic light installation is the education campaign to teach islanders how to stop and go with the flow. The Office of Highway Safety started putting up billboards today at strategic spots around the island. Posters and brochures are also being printed up for distribution. With the ongoing traffic installation project, motorists are being asked to exercise extra caution while driving through the intersection areas.
Cars are not the only things which are experiencing that stop-and-go feeling. After years of rapid movement, the CNMI economy has slowed dramatically. If you have any suggestions to better the financial situation in the Commonwealth, the Saipan Chamber of Commerce is looking for you. This morning, they set the stage for an in-depth analysis of the economy in the CNMI. It's no secret that economically, these are not the best of times for the Commonwealth. The Saipan Chamber of Commerce is looking for answers to help the CNMI bounce back. It's planning a comprehensive study of the issues affecting the Commonwealth.
The goals that we have for all of this is to stimulate some real serious planning for the Commonwealth.
We've organized this symposium to help chart a course for the economic future of the CNMI.
That course includes smoothing out concerns surrounding the Commonwealth's workforce. Betty Friedman's committee will probe a variety of issues.
How we deal with alien labor is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not inherently evil. How we deal with the workers once they are here and how we balance that with our own local supply of workers is really what we need to be looking at.
Tony Pellegrino will be looking at land problems which have led to a loss of credibility in the eyes of investors.
As a result, the CNMI is not the most favorable place to invest or even in many cases to come and live. And it is these problems that we must explore and find some solution and implement that solution.
With changes in the economy come social changes, not all of them positive. Pat Halsall will look at everything from education to crime.
We all recognize the need to create a climate of healthy social development. in the face of the rapid economic development that the Commonwealth has been undergoing the last several years. Quality of life is our goal. The issues that
the Chamber invites everyone to get involved with the study by attending their economic symposium next Thursday. At that time, people will be able to sign up for a committee, and in 2 months, the groups will come together and share their findings. And Willie, do you think you'll be signing up for that economic symposium?
Gosh, I'd like to, Glenn, but gotta work, you know.
Same here.
And I'll tell you who's All-American in college baseball. That's basketball, that is. No more free agents in the NFL. They're making mucho money, and the Jets and Broncos are paying for it. For today's sports fans, there's going to be more fun in the sun. 8 local companies have already signed up for Highest Tropical Fun Fest 93, which will be held on April 17. Participating in the Fun Fest is a unique opportunity for companies to have some great fun while raising funds to improve and develop the American Memorial Park. Teams will be competing in 4 exciting events: the Ocean Raft Race, the Taga Slingshot, the Kaduku Obstacle Course, and my favorite, the Gaggle Bet Race. Yes, each team has 12 registrations, 6 males and 6 females. This will be held on the 3rd, April 3rd. Deadline is 12 noon. Packets can be picked up at our office in the 2nd floor Nauru building. MCV Sports will be covering the Fun Fest live. Yes, you heard right, live. And now for more Fun Fest, let's take an early sports page look on basketball's plays of the week. We'll see slamming and jamming and even long shots from half court.
Pass of the year. Walter bought into Jimmy Jackson from behind midcourt. Got it! Jimmy Jackson with a 50-foot shot to end the first half.
But don't go away. Vicky will be back with the weather report.
And you're updated with weather, and that's all we have for news tonight. On behalf of all of us here, we'd like to invite you also to stay with us. And coming up next is Tomorrow News with Carlotta De Leon Guerrero, Vicky Tadella, and producer Mina Dela Cruz. After that, join us for John Anderson Live with his weekly talk show. John's guest tonight will be Washington Resident Representative Juan N. Babalta. On behalf of the entire KMCV News team, thanks for joining us. Good night.